Hey there guys, and welcome to another Factorio base tour. I'm Xterminator, and thank you for joining me today. And in this episode, we are going over a pretty huge city block type base here. This one is from NightStylezz, and they asked me to take a look at this. Now, I want to give a few notes before we get into it. First off, I did start a research, which is Spidertron. You'll notice it's actually moving fairly quickly. We can pretty actively see the bar moving here, so you can kind of get an idea of the size of the base here. Tons of trains moving back and forth. You will notice they're moving quite quickly. I believe they are using some sort of modded fuel, perhaps. There are quite a few mods in this playthrough, and I just want to mention that as kind of a disclaimer. Now, a lot of things are not modded, so like obviously the miners aren't, accumulators, there are some modded power sources, beacons themselves I don't believe are modded, but if we zoom out here, you can kind of get an idea of the size of this base. Pretty huge. It's city block. There's some pretty crazy intense rail systems we'll look at here. NightStylezz he's made a few notes for me of things he specifically wants me to look at and touch on, so we will cover those in the most detail. And we'll just get started here. So here's the beginner base. If we take a look at production, started some research, so about 100k iron a minute. This may vary back and forth. Currently, the science is only about 100 a minute, but I'm guessing it's because there's quite a large backlog. I spoke to them, and this should be built for about a 3.2k science per minute, I believe, but I'm not sure it's actually running to that full extent yet. It should be at least 1,000 that it's running, but again, I think there's probably quite a large backlog. So if we take a look, I'm going to do most of this from the map view because the movement speed has got tweaked somehow. So running around is extremely jumpy. For any moving we do, we're going to move in this jet here. There's some mods here, some stuff. If we look at this, they've launched almost 2,000 rockets with satellite. They do have the train supply manager mod, which does help with the train logistics quite a lot. But let's look at the beginner base. So this is kind of their starting base area here. Excuse me, we have, this is actually quite interesting. This is all one train. The locomotives in the middle are actually facing two different directions. It's a two-headed train. So this is a very interesting way of doing it. We've seen like trains with locomotives in the middle before, but I rarely see them facing other directions like this on a double-headed train. So this is actually pretty interesting. Big plastic unloading here. Obviously all belts, as we can see. Again, keeping in mind this is the starter base, beginner base that they had here. We can see some just general production. Let's zoom out a little bit. Some normal smelters. Again, so here's some modded things. We have some that Mark II of things. I believe this is from Factorio Extended. If we take a look at power, it's using about 22 gigawatts of power here. We have 17,000 beacons, 16,000 row ports, quite a lot of row ports. I'll show you that here in a little bit. Over 1,500 assemblers, 4,000 furnaces, over 7,000 miners. We can kind of just look down the list here. We have 27,000 inserters, so quite a lot of stuff. Now, if we look through here, we can kind of follow these down. We have some basic oil production here, some more red circuits. All this is belted down. We have a bit of a bus, actually, that runs through here. Now we're to electric furnaces. I'm kind of jumping through this part really quick because, I mean, this is the starter base. It's kind of minimal compared to the actual base itself. There is some nuclear power here. If we do look, the power sources are actually quite varying. We have some nuclear, which is not running, some steam, which is not running. Some of these holders, I'm not entirely sure what this is for. Electric trains, I believe. Yeah, electric trains, realistic electric trains they're using. But we have mostly solar panels. We have some normal solar panels, and then we have a lot of the Mark II solar panels. These solar panels, high power solar is a model they're using, so that's how they're getting 18 gigawatts from 12,000 of them. But the design here is really, really interesting. So all these solar layouts, pretty good, but I really want to look at these tracks and then the actual city block builds. So these track systems, you can see it's basically just, it's a city block, so it's kind of just copies of the same thing throughout here. Just finished Spidertron research. You can see these trains are very speedy. We'll just research some more stuff. Uh, you can see these massive, massive four-way junctions here. They do all seem to be signaled properly. The trains are zipping through, and it comes through. So we have, these come here. There's kind of a bypass little lane here. Looks like a little wait station that come through. And then there's kind of some lane switchers here in the middle section, which is pretty interesting. So this is actually like a little fueling system is what it looks like. That they're actually being fueled just all on the track. It's kind of like a pullover system, which is really interesting. I'm not really seeing this very often. This is actually a really interesting way of doing it, kind of being fueled. There's obviously nothing here in this block for the trains to go to. It's purely just to fuel them. But this is not the only one. There's fuel all over the place. So it's really interesting that they're going there. We have this coal fuel here, which is pretty awesome. It looks like this is maybe how this is being sent out. You can see this design here, which I really, really like this. This really caught my eye the first time I looked over this. It is just this general design. It's very clean, very nice. We have a massive landfill production area here, fully beaconed, moduled, all that great stuff. We have some loaders here and such. So this is pretty cool. This is from the Deadlock Stacking Belt Boxes and Compact Loaders mod. Coming down, we have some massive rail builds. Obviously, they need a lot of rails, so they just have builds for them. You can see some of the tracks moving along here and such like that. Now, we could look in production to rail, but we have to keep in mind that rail is actually using purple science as well, so that's a little deceiving. This research is almost done. If we take a look, I want to keep looking at science, seeing if maybe it's jumping up. I think there's just a gigantic buffer. We'll have to see once we take a look at the labs. But just the rail system looks very nice. They actually built some outposts within it. But they've actually marked some stuff, so they say exterm to look here. I assume they mean this, which is kind of what I covered, but we have some stick production here, which is very interesting to me. They're actually transporting sticks via... he's transporting sticks via train, which I find very amusing. So this is just going to rails. It's interesting they're doing this rather than having the iron made at the rail. Or sorry, the iron 6 made at the rail setup and bringing the iron in. So that's kind of interesting. But this is coming down here. Just multiple stick builds. We have some iron smelter builds here, so it's a bit mixed between belts and bots in this base. So this section is all belts, but in a little bit we'll go over a section that is very, very heavily bot based and robo-ported. So these belts come in, flow in. Again, we're using loaders, so you'll notice a lack of inserters, and these are smelting, and obviously all beaconed and such. Nice here. 12 beacon setup is what this looks like, and then being put into here. And then you can't loader into trains, so that's why we do have inserters here. So inserters are being used here and there at least. I want to queue up a large research like maybe this one so we can just try to burn through any backlog. Some gear stuff, some steel stuff. So this looks like just the kind of iron section. Just a few gear assemblers are very, very quick and such. So... excuse me. We have gears being done here, and then we have steel being done here. Of course, steel obviously takes a ton of iron. So these are pretty much all the same there. This is all marked for me to look at. So we have this gigantic 32 smelter build with a ton of trains moving in and out. So let's take a close look at this. These are the delivery trains which come in here. And these are actually going into active providers, which I find very interesting. This is typically not a way that I would like to build, because this makes the bot usage very high, because with them being active providers, they're always being, having to have bots come empty them, and then they go into storage. This is very similar to the system we actually had for a while on our Earth map, one of our Earth map series way back with Colonel Will. We tried something like this and realized it was not super great for bots, but it does seem to actually be working pretty well. You'll notice they are barely even, they're using like 400 bots here. The bots are very quick, and I think the storage is pretty full, maybe is part of the reason. There's just nowhere to put stuff. but then it's requested and put onto the belt. So this is very interesting that they're using bots to move it and then to the belts instead of just belting it directly out. It's kind of an interesting choice to me. So these are unbeaconed, unmoduled furnaces, and then they're just filled here, put into active providers, of course, and then, excuse me, lots of yawns today. I apologize. And then it's into storage or requesters, and then filled up right here, and we can see the train is just kind of speedily moving through here. It's actually really quite fascinating to just watch these trains, even on the map viewer. This junction right here. This is a bit of a bit of a junction. These things are just zipping through, man. This is an absolute death trap for me. Now, when we will notice a few issues, like this train is stopping here and actually blocking this whole intersection with this system. Oh, but this is very cool. So this stopped all these trains, and I would imagine once this moves, these trains are all going to zip through all at once, which is pretty awesome to look at. But just watching this is pretty great. Very nice stacker system here. And it looks like we just have a ton of miners, a ton of roboports. So these roboports, this is a lot of roboports. This is how we have 16,000 roboports. This is pretty ridiculous. But we are on mining productivity 36 currently because we're doing 37. So these are going to be pretty high productivity rate. If we take a look here, we can look at the where is it? 360% here. You can see there's some modded stuff here. Labs, Lab Mark 2, Lab Mark 3. Part of the reason why we can actually consume, do this very expensive science so quickly. We do have yet to find the labs here. We have some more mining over there. Over here we have some bot-based smelting. It's quite interesting. They're going into passive providers and then being requested here. So here's some electric trains. This is an electric locomotive. Kind of interesting to look at with these power lines. It's actually really kind of cool. I do think electric trains would be a neat addition to the base game in some form. So that's kind of neat to look at that they're using this. One thing that I do really like about this base is that he's just using all these different types of systems. So it's very, kind of unique in different parts of the base, and it's varying a lot. It's just, electric trains in some places, coal fuel trains in other places, bot-based stuff some places, belt stuff some places. So it's not just like exactly the same throughout the entire section. We have these very, very huge rail systems here. Some more sections on the map marked for me to look at. So we have some circuit builds, and they wanted me to look very heavily into the circuit build specifically. So we're going to spend a bit of time here. So yeah, they wanted me to look very much at their chip build, they said. So if we look here, this is very good, direct insertion. Now with modules, it is a 1-to-1 ratio pretty much, so this is good, correct ratio. Doing some requests here for copper as well as obviously the iron. It looks like they're actually requesting basically an entire chest full, which is interesting. And then this is stopped. They have not capped these chests, which is interesting again, but not necessarily a problem here. Things seem to be operating really quite well. So the copper comes in, it's brought over, and it's obviously requested here. The bots deliver it, and these circuit builds work. So these are very, very nice circuit builds. These this is a 10 beacon setup, it looks like, because we can see their effect sources is 14, so the 4 modules in the assembler plus 10 beacons. So 10 beacon setup on these, and the circuits are put into the providers, and then they are picked up here with these electric trains. Again, I very much like kind of the mixed use of types of trains throughout the map. And these come on over here, and let's actually just follow this one train right here, unless it gets too speedy for us. Depends how fast they go. But we'll follow this train here and see where he goes. Theoretically, some of these should at least be going to red or blue circuits, which I do want to take a decent look at here. We finished the research. Just queue up the next one. Quite a few intersections here. Tons and tons of these electric poles. We can actually see he's side by side with a red circuit train. Got a little bit of a head start here. But as you can see, these guys are just heading up this huge stretch of rail right here. It's I really like this kind of just big, long highway, a rail right there. And then I'm going to come over, take a right here, come up. They're kind of actually queuing on the track a bit, which is interesting. And then we're going to come over to this section. So this is unloading the green circuits. This is loading the red circuits. So we have some builds here, and this is, I believe, what they really wanted me to look at. There's actually a few things over here as well, but here's the red and blue circuit builds. So there's actually some rock control unit builds over here as well, which are very nice. This is 12 beacons, again, because of 4 modules in there, and then 16 minus 4 is 12, so then 12 beacons. We can also tell by the physical setup. Very, very nice bot builds here. Plenty of charging, maybe a little overkill on the road ports, but better to have too much charging than not enough, I suppose. Some oil production just like right in the middle of it, which is interesting. Actually, all the oil production is here. The sulfur, sulfuric acid and all that, so it's really kind of nice. This is a self-contained type of section. Some engines down here, some pipes and some gears. Insane craft speed here. You can see these things are just cranking. Man, this is you can see products produced. We are almost up to 3 million on that one assembler. But if we look, I want to find the red circuits first. Here, well, that's delivering. Here we go. So this is very nice. This looks like 10 beacon builds. Well, a little looks like 12 beacons on the wire, and then 10 beacons on the reds. Now, something I find very intriguing is they're actually transporting wire via bots. Now, for red circuits, of course, if you're going to do it, that's the best one to do it with, because the red circuits require less than green circuits. And these things are just cranking out these reds. Overall, very nice build. I like this a lot. And then these are ferried over. This is all one network. If we take a look at our logistics network, you can see this is all one entire network here, self-contained within this whole section. And then so these are transported, and we take a look at the blue circuits over here. Well, those are modules. I'm over here. They look the same. So this is requesting, of course, the green circuits and the red circuits, which it looks like there's a little bit of a shortage on. Outputting the blue circuits here. The bots are moving around. This is 12 beacon setups on these guys, which is very nice. That's just why they're so fast. You know, there's the 8 beacon setups and the 12 beacon setups. The 12 beacon are obviously significantly faster with those 4 extra beacons. And overall, really nice. One thing I want to see is if they are making... I want to see if he was making... If he was okay, yeah. So he's good there. Overall, these circuit builds... I'm not sure if there was something else I was supposed to touch on here, but overall, these are really nice. Very clean 12 beacon setups. More than enough exporting and importing. Plenty of charging, which is really good. You can really kind of, hurt yourself there if you just don't put enough charging. You're going to have a lot of bot problems, which causes UPS problems. As you can see, this is running a 60 UPS. If we take another look at production, now we can see this thing kicking into action. Now we can see this is throwing in actually significantly higher than I said. This is like 5K a minute. 6K a minute of some of these science packs. So pretty damn good. If we take a look over Megabase Depot, so we kind of looked at this a bit. Just massive amount of rail ports, insane amount of rail. Look at all this rail production here. Holy moly. Some steel loading here, or unloading rather, for the rails, I'd assume. So here's an LDS Megabase build. Again, very nice 12 beacon setups, some mining within it even, some smelting within it. Again, I like the fact that they've kind of self-contained. He's a self-contained the smelting within the build of it, at least for some of it. So this is very cool. Again, with the oil products needed for it and plastic all made on site there, which is really good. It's really efficient. If we take a look, this is a lube load section and stuff. Some brick over here and stuff like that. But you can see there's really not a ton of trains happening here, just because so much of it is self-contained with these patches and all that. We have some iron production over here. Again, things are kind of just spread out through the whole map, which I think is really kind of cool, honestly. So we have that section there. So here's the labs. This is what I wanted to look at. It looks like there's quite a large backlog. If we take a look there, there's red, green, blue, purple, and yellow. It looks like military and space science are missing, even though we are still doing this research pretty well. So space science, I would imagine, is this space science? Yeah, this is space science right here. There's quite a few trains. You can actually see all the trains here. If we like click on this train, for example, it looks like he's going to the load station. So we could actually take a look here. We'll go back to the labs, but this is loading. Thought I saw this was loading the space science. Yeah, isn't this the train we were following? So I mean, this is the stuff for the rocket. So surely this has to be the rocket area somewhere. That's a green circuit build. I mean, the labs are right here. Again, this is a 12 beacon setup because there's only 2 models in here, plus the 12 beacons. The labs, of course, aren't fully working due to the lack of space science. Let's try to find another train here. So white science load. This really did not look like a loading section, or maybe it's just 2 loading. Yeah, this is not filling it with space science. So this is for something else, interestingly. If we follow this, so this is, oh, that was not a train. These are very fast trains. Holy moly, these are fast trains. If we come over here, that's all being dropped off there. This looks like this is kind of being ferried across to some belt builds over here. So this is the blue science build. We found that. And the green science and the purple science. So we have 3 builds here. Ooh, these belts just full of science are super satisfying. I really, really like this. Again, kind of going with the theme of the mixed designs. These are beacon and moduled, sorry. This is really only actually 4 beacons, because obviously they can't be hitting both here. Too much space, but this is belt-based and bot-based, so the materials are being delivered via bots, and then they're being sent on the belts, which is a common thing I've used as well. Works pretty well. They're being sent to these passive provider warehouses. Blue science again here, green science as well, being loaded onto these electric trains, you know, by the train full, pretty dang big. If we try to find some of these other science builds, here's our rockets. So our rockets are looking like they're short on rocket fuel, perhaps. So that's a bit of an issue. Maybe it looks like a little bit of shortage there. But those are our rocket builds. So there's 4 rocket silos there. Here's our yellow science and red science. Interesting the things they've put together. So like red science and yellow science put in the same areas here. I'm sure there is a reason for that. Maybe it's because it's like the lowest consumption one with the highest. Kind of makes sense. So red science, yellow science is so satisfying, just seeing these full belts basically of yellow science flowing in here. I love it. More city blocks built out here. Obviously a lot of this is unfilled. They just haven't quite gotten there yet, but a lot of it is filled. So this is really cool. I'm just looking around, seeing if I miss anything. Obviously this is marked. This is a copper build, basically the exact same as the iron build, but copper. So maybe we have do we have a little bit of a train jam here? It looks like potentially. Like maybe some things are stopped here. A wire build. So this is very interesting. They are transporting wire via train to somewhere. It looks like all this is kind of at a halt, so this is maybe something that is in progress of being built. We have another coal fuel station here for the same type of thing. This is a very, very interesting fueling system for the trains. I'm a big fan. So what I'm thinking this does is with the TSM mod train supply manager, this will like add in the coal supply station as it's needed, I believe, and then we'll like automatically take it off the schedule. So that's kind of how that works. It definitely makes micromanaging your like setting your trains more specific to what you want a lot easier. So there's a chip plant. Again, I really like the fact it's all self-contained. The oil production is here, sulfuric acid, all that stuff is just made right here where it's needed. The rocket control units as well, of course, using a lot of the same stuff, so it's all just built with it. Very smart design there. If we take a look, you know, through here, I'm still trying to find the rocket fuel. This is loosening these structures, of course, with the smelting again in the same area. Very smart design there. Plastic in the same area. Searching for the... Holy moly, what is this? Look at this train. Look at this stone train. They have a lot of shorter trains on the map, but we do have these few huge trains. So these are electric trains. This is one huge train that snakes through here for stone. And he is going to stone unload, which if we follow this path down is all, well, say all the way. It's actually pretty close. Here, we see these gigantic trains snaking through here. I don't know, for some reason this reminds me of some sort of like roller coaster tycoon ride or something. And then this is brought here for the brick, probably. Or the rail, most likely the rail, actually. I mean, rail does take quite a bit of stone, as does brick for the stone, the electric furnaces. So I can see why they have these gigantic trains, but it's a pretty cool system. It's a very nice way to do things, honestly. Tons of locos on the back here. So there's that section. Circuits we already looked at. Here's the rocket fuel build. Okay. So it looks like they are maybe backed up on light oil. That's not really a maybe about it. That is, in fact, what the problem is. Perhaps not enough cracking here. See, this is working full time. Well, actually, that's too much cracking of that. Sorry. I was looking at the wrong cracking. This comes over. They actually just need more production, I think. Everything's running, and this is actually backed up. So I'm not entirely sure why they're low on rocket fuel. Maybe there's some sort of supply issue. So there's a silo here, ready to launch. It is circuit controlled. It's 30k white science in this, space science in this section. It's possible those 4 silos we looked at earlier are not being fully utilized yet, because it does look like they are certainly low on the rocket fuel. There's tons of trains here. Could be this is going to a different section. But yeah, so that covers that section. If we look at the all-time production, so all-time production, if we also take a look at the time, this is 13 days, 7 hours worth of playtime, which is a fair bit. And in that time, they have about 500 million, a little more than 500 million copper made, 500 million iron, almost 500 million green circuits. Pretty impressive. 83 million red circuits, 151 million plastic. 35 million rails, 40 mil on the dot, or close to it, stone brick, 15 million blue circuits, about 4+ million of every science pack except military, perhaps, and white science, which is still nearly 2 million. Again, now launched over 2,000 rockets, so we've launched quite a lot of rockets just in the time I've been here. And a bunch of other stuff, you know, miscellaneous, 62,000 chain signals. That's insane. 63,000 level 3 speed modules is actually pretty ridiculous. That is a very large expense. A lot of the circuits actually probably went to that. But yeah, I think this is it. I hope I didn't miss... I mean, I missed some stuff, obviously. I can't look at literally everything on the map. It would take forever. But I believe I looked at everything they specifically marked for me. These smelters, the circuit builds, the starter base here, the depot, and the LDS build, which is very nice. Again, I very much like these builds with everything or most of the things that products that are used for them made in the same area. Definitely good for performance. If you take a look here, you can see I'm only at about 11-ish update time. You start to drop below 60 UPS around 15 or 16. So even with this size of a thing, I'm you know, it's certainly still 60 UPS base, depending on your computer, of course. So they've done a good job optimizing. Obviously, the game is very optimized as well, but it certainly could have been under 60 UPS in the same size if it was much less, you know, well optimized. The mods help a little bit too. I really just am fascinated by the trains, some of the junctions. It's really cool. These like 4-way stops and stuff, especially in the city blocks, which aren't as busy right now. But the city block design, I think, is really nice. I always struggled with doing that myself, so it impresses me when people can do stuff like this. So there we go. I think that's going to do it. We did look at this pretty basic belt smelter. This is 4 solid belts of steel, which is pretty insane, by the way. That's impressive in and of itself. Tons and tons of solar panels being made and brought up here, and I'd assume loaded onto a train perhaps, or just, well, so satellites just made here and then onto a train. One last thing I do want to look at is I want to see how many satellites. I mean, of course, we've launched 2,000. I want to see if they've made like a lot more than that. It would be up here somewhere. So 2.2, yeah, about what we've launched, a little more. But yeah, I think that is going to do it, guys. As always, it looks like there's no biders on here, which is understandable. Biders can be a huge pain for Megabases. Certainly don't blame them for turning them off. I hope you enjoyed. This is just a pretty cool base. I really like the mixed stuff. You know, it is modded, but I do like the mixed variants of types of trains in different sections, and the type of builds in different sections, and the way things are self-contained. The city block system looks very nice. And overall, it's quite an impressive base. Using the train supply manager mod helps a lot with trains. It's a little bit outside of my knowledge. I would have looked at it closer, but it's fairly circuit network related stuff, which, as most of you probably know, I am not knowledgeable in at all. But it's very cool nonetheless. Just the amount of trains is insane, and different size trains too. We have these huge ones here. These are loading these ride control unit trains, and we have these tiny little two-wagon guys. I just love all the different size trains moving back and forth. This very much reminds me of the 015 simulation playthrough. Did a long time ago with Colonel Will. Super fantastic. So, really big thank you to NightStylezz for sending me this map and asking me to look over it. I always enjoy doing these base reviews. I actually have like 2 more lined up after this. I've had a lot of people come to me recently wanting to do base tours. So, that's awesome. I love doing them. You guys seem to enjoy them. There's always some sort of variety and variance in people's designs, which I think is awesome. And I'm just going to stay here zoomed out, let you guys take a look at this. And I believe that will do it. I would love to hear your thoughts and such down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, a like is much appreciated. If you're new to the channel and content, feel free to subscribe to keep up with all the new content I'm putting out, videos like this. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.